My name is Teppo Koskinen. I am Robocorp lead architect, and I have been working in Robocorp since day one and doing all kind of technical stuff there. In a high level, we have two sets of tools. We have the cloud, which is meant for orchestrating the robots, and then we have the developer tools, which is a kind of complete IDE environment where you can build the robot and test it, and then transfer it to cloud for taking into production. So those are the two main parts. Then we have, of course, documentation in the website and tutorials and all kind of material that will make the development easier. And one more thing that we are actually developing is also the RPA framework libraries. That is a quite large set of libraries that are meant to making RPA automation easier. How we are doing it, we are basically kind of collecting a very large amount of good libraries that are already in the open source ecosystem, and then we are just kind of packaging those in one package, which is easy to take into use. And right now we have already like, I don't know, 700-800 keywords there that can be used for different kind of automation purposes. But it's an evolving project, and we are making it bigger all the time. And that is actually quite a good choice. So it will first ask you to sign in. This sign in is a Robocorp account, and we need to create it so that we can access the cloud, and also that we can get the integration between the developer tools and cloud working nicely. So that's the first thing that I would probably do. It's of course easiest to do with Google. Then you just have to click here and you have all the information coming from there. But because I already have a Google account registered in the cloud, I was thinking that maybe I create now a new account with the email, and then we can use that just like a new user would do. So let's create a new account. And now it sends an email verification because it wants to know that the email address is correct. I will just click the link there. All right, now we should get in. All right, get started, welcome. So now we have basically created the Robocorp account, and we can start using it. It will still ask for a couple of main role. Let's say that I am a developer. I would also recommend that get this invitation to the Slack community. There is already hundreds of people, and it's a good place to ask for support or any kind of questions that you might have when you are kind of starting to use the tools. Continue. And then a couple of extra questions. This has a little bit of impact on how the tutorials and these are built together. So I will now select that I am a pretty good programmer and I know quite a lot about RPA. So that's a kind of choices. And now we have a selection. If I'm a developer, I will probably click on the left side. If not, then I would go the right side. So today I am a developer and I want to go here. And the first thing that it asks me to do is to download the Robocorp lab, and that is available for Windows and Linux and Mac OS, and I'm using the Mac, so I will just download this one. To speed up things a little, I have the same version already downloaded in my desktop, so I will just use it just like I would have downloaded it right now. Let's see. So there is the Robocorp lab file. I click it. There is a license agreement. This tool is totally free, so there is no kind of price in here. It is just more like a standard end user license, and I will agree now. Then we just typical Mac way drag this to the applications, and that's done. now I already have it here and I can start it, but actually now we have to wait a little because there is a lot of initialization work that has to be done, and that is now about to happen. So it takes a while to get everything installed. Okay, now we have the kind of heavy lifting done for us, and we have the launcher open. And what you can see here, you could create a new robot. You could open if you have something in your local file system. Or then what I'm going to do first is log into the Robocorp cloud. That will allow us to integrate these developer tools to the cloud platform so that it's easy to transfer the robots that I develop here directly to the cloud. So let's do the login. And okay, now we are kind of linked this to the Robocorp account, and we can upload things. And then we have this download example robots. I will also download those and put it here so that we can then have a look at the example kind of first tutorial robot. We have the robot project open, and it automatically opens this README file. And there is now a few steps that we can follow just to get kind of learn a little bit how the editor works and what you can do with it. And I will go a little bit fast-paced this, but anyway, there's one kind of interesting concept here because this whole editor is based on a quite popular open source project called JupyterLab. And JupyterLab has a concept called notebooks. And right now, this robot file that I have open in here is a notebook. And that means that it can contain many cells. And some of these cells can be text cells, and some of the cells can be code cells. So we have kind of text and code both inside this one document. And I can freely edit the text part, and I can actually execute the code parts. And right now we have this one code cell here, and as you can see, our syntax highlighting already tells that there is something wrong in here because there is the red line under, and it's totally correct. This is not a valid robot framework syntax types of code cells. One of them is the settings cell. And in here, you should add probably this to all your robot files. This will specify that what kind of libraries you are going to use in this notebook, and if there is some kind of tear down actions that you want to do after running the tasks, and you can write some documentation and do the kind of high level definitions in this settings cell. And then another type of code cells is so-called task cell. We have one in here, and it starts with the tasks header, and then we have the task name, and then we have the actual keyword that this task will then call. And there is only one keyword that this task is using. It's called find image, but that is not defined yet anywhere. It's a keyword, and it's defined in this next page. So in here we have the settings and the task, and then we have the one more new cell type, which is the keyword cell, keyword name, and then all the steps that this keyword will take. And this is now using directly all the keywords that are available from this RPA browser library. So whatever you see in here is defined in that library. And you could actually go to our website and check the API, the documentation there, and you would get the list of available keywords and start using those for doing something else that we have done in here. But what this does, it opens the available browser. Available browser means that it opens whatever browser you happen to have in your computer. It could be Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Edge, and it would try to find it, and if it finds it, it will use that one what you have installed. And then it goes to the Google image search, and it writes this cute puppy to the search field and submits the form, and then it waits so that the first image is actually provided by Google search, and then it takes a screenshot from that. And now if I go to the next notebook, I have this full code in here, and I can actually try to run it. I would just press this button in here, which is the run the cell and advance. So now I am executing this settings cell. That went through okay, no errors here. Then I will execute the keyword cell. Okay, it is now executed, and I have a button that I could actually use to call this keyword. But I'm not doing that, I'm just running the whole task now. So now we should actually see something happening in my computer. It opens the browser, it goes to the Google, writes the cute puppy, and put it in the notebook. We actually see the results of this run in the same notebook. So it's a kind of integrated environment where we can have documentation, code, and also the results in the same view at once. So this log also briefly. So if you want to have a closer look on what actually happened, we can just open the log file, and here you can see that, okay, we have defined an image from Google Images task, and the first keyword that was called was this find image, and the find image in turn was calling open available browser, and we can see here some documentation what happened, and it, for example, find my Chrome browser and used that one. Then it input the text cute puppy to the search field, submitted the form, and then it took the screenshot of the first element when it was available. And then I will execute this cell, which actually takes us to the cloud directly, and then we can start using it. All right, I will put this a bit larger so that you can maybe see it. Yeah, so it's welcome to the cloud now. Now we are in the browser, and we have typed in the cloud.robocorp.com URL, and we can then actually start doing things here. And what this cloud actually is, there is a little bit of tutorial about it. It is an orchestrator, which means that you can schedule robots, you can start robots, you can stop robots, you can monitor how they are running, and see the logs, and kind of make sure that everything is happening at right time, and there is no errors, and do that kind of things. So this is the first actual cloud page that you will see when you first time log in. And what we have here is we have our own example organization. This is just my private organization. There is no one else here, and I can basically do whatever I want inside this organization. And I have one workspace inside this organization, and this one workspace contains one process. And then we have a kind of short tutorial which has 3 steps, and the first step is saying that I should run that process in this example workspace, and then it shows an animation how I can do it. But before I go there, I just well, actually I will do that now, and then when I choose the workspace, I will see the full list of all the processes that I have here, just one, like I said. And the other things that I see here is that I have this first menu item, which is actually about handling the workspaces and organizations. I will not use that. Then I have this processes view. Then I have the robots view. Robots are the actual robot framework code that I develop in the developer tools, the editor that I just showed you. And then when I upload something from there to the cloud, it will appear here as a robot. So that is the actual code that I have in this robots sheet in here.
So what's the difference between a robot? So what's the difference between a robot and a process?
Yeah, the difference is that in a process, you can actually add multiple steps. The process can contain like 1 step to, I don't know, 20 steps or whatever, and each step is one robot. So you actually can construct or assemble the process from multiple robots. So you can have a totally different kind of robot doing one part of your long, big process, and then you can have another robot doing the next part. So that it's a kind of a robot is the code, and process is kind of how you combine those codes together so that they make something bigger in your environment. And I will actually show that a little bit later in the practice how it goes. Then we have the environments. Right now I don't have any environments of my own connected to the cloud. I have the editor connected to the cloud, but that is not an environment that I could use to run stuff from cloud. And then I have here a vault, and that is the place where I could store secrets. For example, if my process requires some login password pairs, I could add it in here, and it would be stored as in an encrypted form in the cloud. And then when I need it in the robot, it would actually be transferred there, and it would then only at that point it would unencrypt everything, and you could use that secret in your code. But right now the first thing that the tutorial asked me to do was to simply run this example process. This is the same process that we saw in the editor side, just fetching this, was it cute puppy or cute cat? I don't remember, but anyway, this is the same thing now happening in the cloud. And when I press the start button, it will actually, everything will now happen in the cloud. So it will set up a Docker container automatically inside the cloud, and it will run this process there. So nothing will happen in my computer locally. And okay, it did it already. It took like 7 seconds to set up the Docker container and move the robot there to do this fancy cat search process. And if I open the kind of execution page, I can see the command line output. As you can see, it was installing a lot of Python libraries here. We didn't have to know about it at all. Then it was running the robot framework, and it's passing, so everything went fine. And then as a last step, it uploaded from this Docker container all the files that we want to take into cloud and store in here. So it uploaded them here. And as you can see, I have here the image from Google. And if I open it, we have here the cute puppy. Okay, we have once run it. And then we have here something called work item. I will go to that a little bit later. And now if I go back to the kind of first page, I have now completed the first step. So I can check this. Great. That how can I move the robot from the editor to the cloud? Now I have the same robot already kind of initially available in both places, but if I just decide to, sorry, didn't want to do that, but go back to the editor, and now if I change this a little bit, let's say that I don't want to search for cute puppy, but I want to search for dinosaurs. So let's see what happens here. I can first try to run it locally in here, just to see what will actually happen. Did it work? Did I do some errors? Okay, it seems to work. We did get some kind of dinosaurs. And now if I want to move this cloud, I have this button, Publish to Robocorp Cloud. Okay. So I press that one, and because I already linked this to my user account in the cloud, it already knows what workspaces I have available there. I have only this one, so I choose that one, and I have only one robot in this workspace, so I choose that one, and then I just publish this. Now it's transferring it. It says few minutes, but because this is quite small process, it will happen in few seconds. So now I should have everything moved to the cloud, and if I run it from the cloud, it should actually search for dinosaurs instead of cute puppy. So let's see what happens. Go to processes, run it again. Now we have dinosaurs. Okay. And then, all right, a bit more about the robots and processes. So I will actually now go to the processes, and I open this one. And as you can see, this process now has only one step. It is this Google image search.
Right.
And I can add more steps in here.
Okay.
And then I first have to choose the robot. Well, now I only have this one robot to choose from, so I have to use the same one. And then I could select environment where I want to run this, but because I haven't yet installed any other execution environments than what I have kind of initially available in the cloud, so I have to use this one. But I can add the new step to the process, and now I would have two kind of completely separate robots that are running in a sequence when I'm executing this process. Want to make this a bit more interesting, we could actually install this Robocorp app, which is now the kind of runtime environment that you can install locally in your own computer and use that as the execution environment in these steps. So that is something that if we go to the robots, and environments, there is installers available for Mac, Windows, and Linux again. And I would just download this Mac version of it. And because I'm not trusting my internet connection, I already downloaded that also. And I have it, I will put this small one. I have it here. So I will just install this, agree the license, and again, the same familiar process. There it is. And now I can start this one. And first it asks me to log in to the cloud. Again, I need to use my credentials. And then choose the workspace. And because I have only one workspace available in the cloud, I have to use that. And now I can give a name. So let's say this is Teppo's MacBook and link to Robocorp. And then just start this. And now it automatically connects to the cloud, and it should be visible there if I go back to the cloud, and there it is. It's saying that Teppo's MacBook is now idling, but it's ready for processes to run there. So now if I go back to the process configuration and choose the first step, and I will just put to trash this cloud container execution environment and add another one, this self-hosted app that I just installed. Now I have actually changed it so that this first step will execute in my computer, and the next step will still execute in the cloud. So I will try to run it. The first run again takes a little bit of time because it's preparing the environment in my application here. Now it's downloading the Python files, and now it's executing the step in my computer. That was done, and now it continues to the second step, which is still executed in the cloud container engine. That's it. Now we were able to kind of build a process which starts in my computer and then it continues in the cloud. And I will actually show one picture about this because this is a quite interesting concept, some kind of assembly belt. And every time you press the start button in the cloud or the scheduler starts the process or you are using an API call to start it, you are actually creating a new empty work item in this assembly line. And then the work item starts going through this whole process. And then we have these steps, which are robots. And the first robot might do something for the work item in the environment where it's running. It could be in your on-premises computer, like my laptop, and it could access the resources that are available in here. And then it could store information to this work item. And after finishing its task, this work item would continue the next step, which could be running again in any environment. It could be in the cloud, it could be in some other computer, whatever you have chosen in the cloud. And this step 2 could then read all the information that is stored in the work item by the step 1. So you can actually kind of use these work items to carry data from step to step. And then when it finally goes to the end of the assembly line, the whole process is executed, and then we just store the work item to the cloud.